Trojan Fairley, what's up, man? USCJ here. It's the top of the morning. It's the top of the morning. Listen, I hope everybody is getting ready to get up, get out, and make some things happen this morning. Listen, we got a couple news and note items we got to talk about. One is Michigan. We want to take an early look on them, even though the game is not until next week. Listen, game week is getting ready to approach, and you guys know Michigan is taking on Arkansas State this week at the Big House, but we want to take a brief look at them. But before I do that, we want to talk to you real quick. Just mention to you that Jerome Miles, you guys know, just off of a trip to USC, we just got another commitment yesterday from a Utah guy, but both of those guys were at the game over the weekend. But Jerome Miles now off of the week from this USC football trip. Listen, he has officially changed his date. The date was October 30th that Jerome Miles was supposed to be making that commitment. And now he's absolutely moving and grooving and now changing it to September 18th. Now, what does that say as it relates to the chances of USC getting them? Listen, I think personally it's locked, sealed, and delivered for the USC football Trojans. Listen, you already had a date already scheduled for September 18th. Now, just fresh off of this trip, look, I believe there were two emojis that were put up as well. Of course, you guys know we did get a couple of guys. We got Ty Jackson as well as the big time defensive lineman from the state of Utah. However, I do think we should be seeing the third one go up based on just the movement and based on how Jerome Miles, we feel like he's feeling with this USC. And then he was crystal ball. Several insiders crystal ball Jerome Miles to USC. And I think that's speaking volumes of where USC is with them. And I don't think you move your date from October 30th to September 18th because you could have easily waited. And we see now that, of course, it was out of USC, Utah, and I believe it was Texas A&M. But now this thing is easily moving in USC's favor. So I think that's speaking big time values for the USC football Trojans. Man, you guys can hit me in the comment section. You guys can tell me what you think. By the way, just before I did this, you guys always know that I do this the night before, as I stated, because you guys know I have a regular schedule that I have to attend to myself. But I just saw with Cam Rising, looked like he has some type of infection in his hand and his tendonitis. I think the infection will create some type of tendonitis, and it says that he'll be out to 6 to 8 weeks, man. So listen, man, his injury things continue to still go forward. Some project him to be in the playoffs. I don't think you make it without him, man. I think Cam Rising is one of those guys that they just kind of depend on and they got to have, man. So you guys can hit me in the comments. You guys can tell me what you think. But when you look at Jerome Miles, I think USC's opportunity is very, very promising. Now, I want to take just real quick, this is going to be a short video today, a brief look at the Michigan Wolverines because I know that, look, this game is fast approaching. USC is going to be playing in the stadium, and let's don't get it twisted. This stadium has over seating wise over 100,000 people. This is one of the biggest stadiums in college football. So the atmosphere, do I think it's going to be similar to a place like playing in Las Vegas and LSU? I think it'll be a little bit more hostile than that, even though they say it was 60-40 LSU as it relates to the fans, because you guys know LSU travels very well. When you're talking about the Las Vegas area, I think it's going to be a totally different atmosphere. I think it's going to be a more hostile atmosphere, and I think USC is going to have to absolutely put their A game on because you guys know when USC is going to be ranked. Right now, we're currently ranked at number 11, but we're probably, depending on if anybody loses and how they rank this thing, we may move up this week. And if we break that top 10, even if we're at number 11, because there are some rumblings going on right now about the USC football Trojans. I just heard Joe Clyde talk about USC again. I just heard Josh Pate give another update on what he feels about USC. Everybody right now is changing their mindset on USC. They're feeling very good about it. And if you look at the matchup projector right now is looking like USC is at over 55.7% when you're talking about this game. And then Michigan is 44.3%. So this thing continues to move and groove. And the more momentum we get and the more talk we get, when you talk about us coming into the Big House, Michigan's going to be pumped up for that game. I mean, I'm sure They got a lot to play for right now anyway, especially this is going to be our first conference game. This is going to be Michigan's first conference game. So listen, nobody's going to take it lightly. You can lose all the non-conference games that you want, but when you start talking about the conference game, that's going to decide whether you play in your conference championship. And so Michigan is not going to be taking this thing lightly. So when I look at this game at Michigan, I really believe that there are 4 guys that I'm gonna name out here real quick. 4 guys that I feel like that we really need to contain as it relates to this Michigan game. I'm just doing a brief mention of some guys. This is not even a preview, but I just kind of wanted to get an early look. But there are 4 guys, man, and this is going to be the guys. This guy right here is the cornerback, Will Johnson. He's a superstar player, man. He jumps routes like serious business. So I looked at some film of his today, and he's the guy that you got to absolutely watch. Stewart right there, big time edge guy. You guys know I compared him to Jamil Muhammad. We got to look at that guy as well. Josiah Stewart is his name. You guys remember he transferred from Coastal Carolina, and he's been effective off the edge. He's not that big. He's about the same size as Jamil Muhammad, 6'1", 240 pounds. But actually, I think he's 245 pounds. Jamil Muhammad, of course, you guys know, picked up some weight. But I kind of compared those two because they are similar in size, and I think that Jamil Muhammad is kind of the same type of player coming off the edge. But yeah, he's definitely a guy that USC has to watch. And of course, this guy, the hometown guy right here, Mason Graham, is a guy that we absolutely have to watch. You know, he's a California player, big time defensive tackle. Mason Graham, along with the guy that's next to him, his name is Kenneth Grant. USC absolutely has to watch both of those guys. Those are 2 big boys in the middle, and we want to see. This is going to be, I think LSU was our first real test on the offensive line. How will, USC handle an SEC type of defensive line? And they did pretty good. As far as establishing the run, I think we want to establish the run a lot more than what we did at LSU and really try to get in that flow. But this is probably going to be a bigger test. While we said that LSU was the biggest test for our defensive line, because of that offensive line is considered the best, and I think we passed that test very well. This is going to be the biggest test for our defensive line, for our offensive line, rather, because we want to see how they maintain those blocks. We want to see if we can get any type of run lanes available to us so that we can establish a run, so we can continue to get those things moving and grooving, and then open up everything else. So this is just a rough draft, if you will, of my thoughts on what USC will be facing. Those are some news and note items that I want to touch on. As I stated, Jerome Miles is now flipped to what is today? Today is the 11th. So next week is today's the 12th. I'm sorry. I'm doing this video the night before on the 11th. Today is the 12th. And tomorrow's the 12th. Today is the 12th. And so, yeah, USC will be moving and grooving next week with that commitment from Jerome Miles. So look, man, you guys can hit me in the comment section. You guys can tell me what you think. You guys already know where you can find me. It's USCJ32 on Instagram. It's USCJ32 on Twitter. Listen, I'm out of here. Until later on, everybody stay blessed. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Until later on, fight on, fight on, fight on.